ever scroll through social media and think, wow, some people are really into this celebrity?
Yeah, it's like a whole other level.
Well, that's what we're diving into today. A story that takes fan dedication to a whole new level, with some cultural intrigue, of course.
Definitely. This one really reminds us that even when it comes to something like being starstruck, the world is a pretty diverse place.
It sure is. And our source material that really highlights this is a fascinating article from a Filipino news site called Sasafeed. And, okay, get this. The title, just the title alone is amazing. Miss Uganda, effort wasted on Derek Ramsey's alleged rudeness.
I have to say, that title doesn't really give you the full picture, though.
Oh, definitely not.
Kind of like one of those optical illusions where what you see at first glance, it isn't really the whole story.
Exactly. Okay, so let's set the scene. February 2020. This woman named Atuhumurize Evelyn, also known as Miss Uganda,
Okay.
takes her fandom to, I would say, the absolute extreme.
Right.
Like, we're talking booking a flight from Uganda to the Philippines, all to meet her favorite celebrity, Filipino actor Derek Ramsey.
Wow. Now that is dedication. This isn't just, hoping to bump into them at the grocery store.
No.
Miss Uganda was on a mission. She actually appeared on a popular Filipino radio show called Wanted sa Radio,
Yes.
hosted by Raffy Tulfo.
Big show.
Yeah, to share her dream of meeting Derek.
And for anyone who might not be familiar with it, think of it kind of like, those big radio shows where they help listeners connect with people, sometimes even celebrities.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Oh, for sure.
So she puts herself out there in a foreign country speaking a different language.
Right.
All for this chance encounter.
Amazing.
It's amazing. And
Yeah,
it works.
She met him.
She gets her wish granted. She meets Derek Ramsey.
Wow.
But this is where things take a turn. And this is what the article is about. It focuses on how this encounter sparked all this debate about cultural expectations and what it actually means to be starstruck.
Interesting.
Buckle up, because this seemingly simple story is about to get really, really interesting. And it might even challenge some assumptions that we have about fame, fandom, and how we interpret actions across different cultures. So Miss Uganda, she achieves this dream that a lot of fans have, which is to meet their celebrity crush.
Yeah.
But it's what happens next, or how this meeting is perceived, that really kind of starts to unpack this whole cultural clash element.
Exactly. And this is where we get into this whole alleged rudeness thing that's in the title.
Yes.
So pictures from this meeting show Miss Uganda all dressed up. I mean, she looks amazing. Like, she clearly put in a lot of effort for this meeting.
As you would.
Absolutely. But then in these pictures, Derek Ramsey is wearing what's described as a sando and a cap.
Okay.
And just so everyone's on the same page, a sando is like a casual sleeveless shirt, very common everyday wear in the Philippines.
Got it.
Yeah. So this is where the debate starts, right?
The
Yes. The article talks about how some people felt like his casual clothes were disrespectful. Especially because, she traveled so far and got all dressed up.
Yeah.
Like, the least he could have done was match her level of formality, right?
Right.
Some people thought that.
So already we're seeing these cultural differences in how people view what's considered respectful, or how you would act if you were might just be totally normal in another.
Absolutely. And it gets even more interesting because Derek actually responded to the criticism.
He did.
He did. He basically said he had no idea she's going to be all dressed up, and he just wanted to make things relaxed and welcoming. Like, he even invited her to his home. He wanted to have this more personal interaction.
See, and that's what makes you think, right? Because how often do we just kind of assume things based on our own cultural background, and we don't even try to understand the context or what the other person's intentions are?
Oh, all the time, right?
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And this just highlights how important intercultural communication is, because sometimes, even with the best intentions, things can get misinterpreted.
Lost in translation.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
what you want to say isn't always what the other person hears, especially when you're dealing with different cultures that have all these unspoken rules.
And this is what I think makes this whole thing so interesting. It would be really easy to just say, oh, it's a cultural misunderstanding, and move on. Which on one hand it is.
Yeah.
But it's more than that, right?
Yeah, it really makes you think about fandom and those times when you get to actually meet someone you look up to.
Totally. And the article even points out that all of this debate about what Derek Ramsey was wearing, Miss Uganda herself was just over the moon.
Of course.
Like, none of that other stuff even mattered.
She met her idol.
Exactly. She met him. She got to visit his home. Like, they probably had a way more genuine interaction than she ever could have pictured.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it just makes you wonder, do all those other things really even matter? Like, what someone was wearing?
It's such a good question. Like, what actually makes these encounters, these fan encounters, actually meaningful? What are we looking for? Is it just a picture for Instagram? Or is it something more? Is it like the connection, however brief, with that person?
Right. And I almost feel like maybe those moments that are imperfect,
Yeah.
Like, those might be the ones you actually remember.
Yeah.
Because it's the real person. It's not this whole persona. It's just like, sharing a laugh or having a conversation you never would have expected.
And I think that's what this whole thing shows. We have this idea, especially with celebrities, about how they should be.
Yeah.
We want them to act a certain way, say the right things, wear the right clothes.
Oh, 100%.
But reality is way more complicated than that.
And way more interesting.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into fandom and cultural differences and just like unexpected encounters, here's something to think about. Let's say you got the chance to meet someone you admire. Would you want the perfect photo op? Or would you rather have maybe a more casual, behind-the-scenes kind of hangout?
What do you think your answer says about what really matters in those situations?